And we're live. At least it says so on my end of the world. Let me stop this and let me turn down that background music. How are you guys doing? It's a good morning, Thursday morning. Uh, what I've got, what I've got on my brain is that we're right now in the moment. What they call cazimi. Cazimi is when a planet gets close to the sun. As a planet gets close to the sun, or the sun gets close to the planet, in these terms, because we're talking about Saturn. Saturn doesn't move as quickly as the sun, so it's the sun catching up to Saturn. It goes through a period where it's under the beams, and then it's combust, and then it's cazimi. And so it's like gone through this period of purification until it hits that center moment, which is about, depending on your sources, 16 to 17 minutes. So minutes as opposed to degrees. So 60 minutes in a degree. So only 17 to 16 before and after is the cazimi point. And because it's the Saturn's really relatively not moving too much during this period, it's going to be timed mostly by the sun's motion, which means that we've been feeling it. I don't know about you guys, but you just go look at my previous podcasts or YouTube live streamings all week long, and you can just see Saturn heaviness trying to push that boulder up that hill, and it feels like kind of a Sisyphean task, like you're putting all this effort out and you're not getting hardly any real estate as you move things forward. But it's also resistance training, right? And I should imagine that even though we're going to be still in cazimi for most of today, after it hits exactitude, which is in about half an hour, so we're really close. Once it hits the exactitude, which is exactly lined up, after that, it's not applying anymore. It's separating. So there's just like this, just think of it in forces, in terms of force, pushing something in and then just releasing as it goes. You're still feeling the effects, but it's a whole different quality of the experience than it is approaching, right? So just give yourself some grace if this week you have been trying and you feel like you're not going nowhere, to quote Bob Dylan. But I want to quote not Bob Dylan today, but James Baldwin, one of my favorite Black voices and literary voices, just literary voices. He is amazing. He's one of my heroes. I think of his contemporaries, Tennessee Williams is another one that I can't get enough of, and I think they're so underappreciated. I'm just so happy that James Baldwin is getting more recognition. And it's got staying power, and I think Tennessee Williams too. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let's look at what James Baldwin has to say for us today. I'm going to change the background to reflect him, but I'm also going to bring on my little side thing. Yeah, there we go. So James Baldwin, perhaps home is not a place, but simply an irrevocable condition. And boy, that's big. Talk about your Saturn sun, right? In traditional astrology, your home is in the fourth house. I think they would consider that in modern astrology as well. Even with the alphabet soup, they would as well. But the home is the place of the father, Saturn, right? Rather than the moon, traditionally. It's not the joy. The joy of Saturn is the 12th house, which is a whole nother thing. But the fact that home is the it is the power dynamics were that a home is a man's castle, kind of a thing, right? And then it's your mom that gets you up there to present yourself to the world. Got to put on back in the days when I was a little kid, my mom didn't do this, but other females in my family did. It's like you put your gloves on to go out. You got to look a certain way to go out in public, right? Uh, and funny enough, my mom and my grandma weren't that way. My biological mom was that way, but yeah, and my stepsister, was that way. Perhaps home is not a place, but simply an irrevocable condition. And so, what I want to ask us to think about today is, what's home, right? Is home all those memories, like I'm sharing with you, of these different little experiences? Because when I share mine, I'm wanting you to think, oh, that's interesting. She did that. Well, I have this. So if I'm doing something, I want you to think about how that would apply to you, or what your experience was. Was it the same, or was it different? And do you think of home as a place? Because I tell you, this whole generations after me are nomads, right? Even including me, when we moved from family lands into suburbia, there's no there, to quote Gertrude Stein about Oakland, California. There's no there. There's no community. There's no societal fabric as we once knew it. No safety net in other people. It became other things. It became your workplace. You were tied your social fabric became your workplace. You got government assistance or whatever, or qualify for different things, insurance and things like that through your workplace. Perhaps home is not a place, but simply an irrevocable condition. So what are our irrevocable conditions, right? What are the things that we find hard to shake off? And do we want to shake them off? Is it a condition that's comforting us? Does it make us safe? Or is it one that's limiting us? Or is it both? So many times, me, I'm a big Schopenhauer fangirl. A thing is this and that. And you have to figure out where on the spectrum you want to surf. And so what is it? What is the irrevocable conditions of our lives right now? And as I said, what I'm seeing is home is not rooted in family as much. We talk about family trauma, and I'm here to say family trauma is real. So I'm not a denier that way. But again, on a spectrum, even in family traumatic situations, even in the times of crisis, there is a comfort. Unfortunately, sometimes the crisis becomes a comfort, and that's kind of when you have to kind of take a step back and kind of. That's kind of what these little bite-sized things are about. It's like, can we think a little bit deeper than we normally think in a day? And somebody was saying something. Oh, well, Lori, you're going to be doing these, kind of self-helpy things. I said, no, this is not self-helpy thing. Well, it's self-helpy, but it's not a self-helpy thing. I'm a writer, right? I consider myself a writer primarily, and interested in using astrology as a tool. But for writing and philosophy, you look at the condition as it is and try to pull and figure out where you have agency, where you have complicity, all the things. And it's never a substitute for getting professional help or anything else. It's just a matter of taking things 10 minutes at a time, to slow down, sip your coffee, make connections with other folks that might be doing the same thing, and think thoughts that maybe you haven't thought before. And I'm going to leave you with that, because our time is, believe it or not, up. So I'm going to remove James from there, and I'm going to be removing me so you can see him one more time. And I will see you tomorrow, peeps. Bye-bye. Have a